Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's your boy Rico from RicoScores, and man, oh man, oh man, the Commanders got a lot going on. We are basically at this point holding in-season tryouts, literally. And so basically, this is just Rivera and company doing the next regime a big favor. We're going to talk about what all of that means. The Washington Commanders have officially released defensive back Danny Johnson. He's gone again. I mean, you never know. We've cut him several times. Maybe he'll be back again. Also, linebacker Jabril Cox may finally play. Rivera spoke in his press conference today and basically said that Jabril Cox is growing, and he goes deeper in depth as to whether Jabril Cox should play sooner rather than later. I'm definitely expecting him to play sometime this season. We're going to talk about that and everything else that's going on. Big injury updates. Jamin Davis going to IR. Sadiq Charles potentially coming back from IR. All of that type of stuff. But before we dive into all of that, make sure you stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, and stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Stay tuned. So much content on the way. I'm super excited to get y'all all of these videos and everything. Man, it's so much. I think the Bill Belichick video will probably come out next, so stay tuned. I also want to talk about this whole Capitals and Wizards moving to Virginia thing that I'm working on. That I'm gathering notes and information on that because I don't want to just make a video just cause and I don't have all of the information ready. So stay tuned for all of that, and without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get to it. Let's get it.
He's our quarterback for the 5-10 years, and I truly believe that.
All right, so the Commanders have officially released cornerback Danny Johnson, as source confirms, and it is kind of like an odd choice on the surface, said by Ben Standig. Perhaps a way to clear playing time for younger players on or eventually on the roster. So, hey man, I'm telling you, this is one of those things where we're just having in-season tryouts. The season is already over. It's over even sooner than it was last season. So now we just have a few games to basically be like, man, let's evaluate. These are the type of moves I want us to make. Now, I'm sad that Danny Johnson had to get cut to do it, even though he's probably could end up going to a contender and being happy anyway. So it could be a win-win for both parties. But we're just trying to get some of the veterans out the way, and let's see what these young guys can do. Danny Johnson is solid, but you never know. We may have a secret gem again already on the roster, or a guy that may eventually become on the roster, which we're going to talk about next because we signed a guy in his place. You never know if that guy just has this super crazy potential. I mean, why not see? Our primary goal, like I've been saying for weeks now, is not to win games anymore. You win, I guess that's cool, morale boost or something. Even though I want the high draft pick, it is what it is. But I'm not just about to sit here and actively root against my team. I mean, look how I got the Sean Taylor jersey on. You know, kind of feels disgusting to do that, but I'm definitely rooting for a high draft pick. But either way, some people are still rooting for us to win games first and foremost, which would literally do nothing but hurt our draft position. And I don't see the whole, going into the offseason with a certain level of morale and stuff like that, unless it's some really good wins. I mean, we play some good teams at the end, and unless it's convincing and like certain guys show out, but I'm hoping for losses with guys showing out. I've been saying it for weeks that this is the evaluation period. The primary things we need to be worried about is Sam Howell's development and his ability to go out there and show the next regime that he should be the guy. That even if you end up with a third or second overall pick, I think the worst we'll probably end up with is fourth overall, to be completely honest. Don't use that on a quarterback. Use that to build around Sam Howell, and at the very least give him another year on his rookie deal, all that type of stuff. 5th round rookie deal too. This is different from a 1st round rookie deal. This is a 5th round quarterback rookie deal. So, but most importantly, I want to see his quarterback development. I also want to see development across the board. I want to see guys like I said after the Cowboys game on Thanksgiving. Yeah, Quan Martin got cooked by CeeDee Lamb, but I prefer Quan Martin to be out there getting meaningful snaps and going against guys like CeeDee Lamb now, rather than us hiding him, and then when we really need him to cover a CeeDee Lamb or a guy like CeeDee Lamb, he's not ready. Let's go ahead and get the ugly out the way now. Let's get the teaching tape out the way now. This is the season with us playing for absolutely nothing, for us to give as much time and opportunity to these younger guys for them to not only show what they can do for the next regime and also put out teaching tape for themselves to be like, let me work on that, let me work on that, let me get better at this, let me exercise this way, let me eat this certain diet so I can improve in this way. But also, you just never know, something may click in some of these last few games from Quan Martin playing more snaps per game than he used to. There was a certain point in the season where he was only playing 4 snaps per game. If he can go out there and give us like 20-30 snaps a game, I mean, you would just assume he would naturally at the very least get somewhat better. I mean, it may not be as dramatic of a improvement as we would hope, but I mean, there has to be some benefit to him playing more. And that goes for everybody. Emmanuel Forbes getting back healthy. He'll probably go back out there and start playing more. Just all over the roster. And of course, with us cutting Danny Johnson, that leaves room for more DBs to play. That allows us to bring in a guy, which we're going to talk about soon, that he's going to be able to play. And also the guys that's already on the roster deeper in the depth chart. Maybe they'll get a little bit more playing time. Like now, maybe a Tariq Castro Fields will play more. Maybe Terrell Burgess will play more. Burgess, however you pronounce it. Just things like that. So I'm super excited. And we're also going to talk about the linebacker group as well as far as that goes. Why guys like Jabril Cox should be playing more. So I completely agree with this move. But moving on, I started to dive into stuff before we even got into everything. Y'all know I typically like to read all of the main tweets and information before we start to dive into opinionated stuff. But I just had to go ahead and get that one off right there. Adam Schefter tweeted, Commanders informed cornerback Danny Johnson, who was re-signed to a 2-year deal that included $2.75 million guaranteed in March, that they are releasing him per sources. He will now be subject to waivers, and I would be pretty surprised if somebody doesn't pick him up. I think he'll probably land on a contender, which, lets me know that he probably will not end up back on the Commanders. But again, this guy just always seems to get cut by us and end up back with us anyway, so maybe he won't. But hey, if he ends up on a potential contender, hey man, more power to you. You go to a contender and you potentially get even more playing time than you were getting here. More power to you. I hope that happens for him, actually. I think that's a great case scenario for him. But also, after releasing Danny Johnson, we claimed Kyu Blue Kelly from the Packers. And this is a guy that looked really good at the Senior Bowl. And this is also a guy that we met with during the draft process a couple of times too. So there was clear interest there. And with him being on the Packers and with him being out there and available, I'm not surprised that the Commanders jumped on it. I mean, a great breakdown is that he's basically like a bigger and younger version of Danny Johnson, if you want to put it like that. Of course, he's not as proven. There's a reason that Danny Johnson was on our roster this long. Even after getting cut, we keep bringing him back. And then Blue Kelly was out there just, available if anybody wanted him. And you got to remember, this is a 5th round pick from the Ravens. He was cut before week 1 even happened, and then the Seahawks and Packers gave him chances. They didn't like him that much, and now he's out there. So hey man, this guy has already gone around the 8th of the league in less than a year of his rookie season. And I'm hoping that he finds a place here and sticks. He'll have plenty of opportunity. I'm sure we're not signing him just to take up a 53rd roster spot for no reason, literally just for him to be a placeholder. No, he's coming here to show us what he can do, not only in practice but in games as well. I would not be surprised if he's playing as soon as possible, hopefully as soon as this upcoming game against the Rams, so we can see what he can do. Now granted, he may get toasted, maybe he'll get burnt, maybe there'll be miscommunication between him and the rest of the secondary and we leave guys wide open, which again, like I've said, going for a better draft pick, that's even better. But you never know, maybe he goes out there and does literally look like a bigger, younger, faster Danny Johnson, which he has the potential to be. This is a guy that I was willing to draft him during the draft. Again, the Ravens got him in the 5th round. I was willing to take him around there and give him an opportunity. And now we just got him for free without having to use a 5th round draft pick on him. So we'll see how this goes. And again, this is a guy that the Commanders were interested in during the draft process. Met with him a couple of times. So man, the communication probably never stopped there. And now I'm pretty sure he's happy to probably end up here because we probably will give him more of an opportunity than he was getting on his other teams. Because I believe he was only on the practice squad for the Seahawks and Packers. I'm not sure if he played any time for them. And again, the Ravens who drafted him cut him before week 1 even got here. So we'll see how this goes. But also, shouts out to John Kahn for bringing this up. One note on the Johnson release, Emmanuel Forbes was a full go in practice, so he'll play. Also want to see Martin Moore can play in the slot, of course. So, and might want to see more Castro Fields. Maybe Johnson can hook up with a contender. Smart cornerback can help in a few ways, which takes me to my point that with Danny Johnson out the way, that means more playing time for Quan Martin, like I talked about a little bit earlier. He's probably going to be the one that benefits the most from Danny Johnson being gone. But also, you just signed Nikiu Kelly guy that I just broke down. I think he's going to play quite a bit. But also, don't forget guys like Tariq Castro-Fields and Terrell Burgess. Those guys will have opportunities to play as well. So I want to see a lot of those guys go out there and get as many meaningful snaps as they possibly can. Don't forget Percy Butler. Even though Percy Butler is technically our starting free safety with Derek Forrest gone, so of course he's gonna play, but maybe he'll play a little bit more slot corner Buffalo nickel with Danny Johnson as well. So this is gonna shake things up, and I'm really excited to see who makes the most of their opportunity. I mean, it's basically like a wide open spot. Hey man, go out there and show what you can do, and do something with it, man. Prove to that next regime that you should be here next year, because this roster, I'm definitely predicting an expansion roster level turnover. Whereas if we just created this team from scratch almost, I think a lot of more people are going to be gone after the end of this season than most people think. So, hey, man, go out there and show this next regime what you can do, and show that you deserve to be on the burgundy and gold, because right now we're having open tryouts. If you go out there and ball out these last few games, even if they result in losses, because I mean it's a team sport, it's not all on you. If you go out there and ball out, that starting spot is there for you to take. Coming into this next offseason is there for you to take. And again, Danny Johnson, it's not like we cut him because he was an issue or anything. It's just, let's see what these younger guys can do, because Danny Johnson's solid, but it's not like he's just this franchise cornerstone player. We might as well go ahead and throw somebody else out there. And speaking of guys that aren't franchise cornerstone players that should be playing less, and we should be giving the younger guys behind them more playing time, we got to talk about David Mayo and Cody Barton. Before we get there though, Rivera spoke on Jabril Cox in his press conference today and talked about how he would get more work. He said, quote, "I think there will be some opportunities. He's done a nice job, and you're starting to see his growth in what we're doing. He's got a better handle and a better feel for that. That way, if he gets the opportunity, he'll be ready," unquote. And I'm thinking that it is very likely that he will play, because to the point I already brought up with releasing Danny Johnson so the younger guys can play. Same thing with David Mayo and Cody Barton. Stop playing them as much. What are we doing? Like, first of all, them playing doesn't make a big enough difference in us potentially winning games. And then at the same time, we don't want to win games. And if we did, are you really sure that Cody Barton and David Mayo can help you there? Because again, Jamin Davis is going to IR. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So that leaves you literally roster-wise, linebacker-wise, outside of Cody Barton and David Mayo, all we have is Khalid Hudson and Jabril Cox. With Dejon Harris and Jamin Davis on IR, that's literally all we have left. There's literally no reason Jabril Cox shouldn't play. He's the fourth linebacker on the depth chart. And then the three guys ahead of him are Cody Barton, David Mayo, and Khalid Hudson. Why not play him? I'm just not even getting it at all. If you're cutting Danny Johnson so that younger guys can play, why are you not? I mean, you could probably even just go ahead and cut David Mayo. What are we still doing with him right now? But even if you don't cut him, Jabril Cox should definitely be playing. And so, again, Rivera, key word there, said that way, if he gets the opportunity, he'll be ready. I'm thinking that basically means that he will play, but he's just not trying to tip his hat. But at the same time, I didn't want to clickbait y'all and say Jabril Cox will play against the Rams. But I'm definitely thinking that it's very likely that he'll play, first of all, this upcoming game against the Rams, just period, in general, but definitely before sometime at the end of this season. Like, there's just no reason, again, for reasons I've already stated, there's no reason that Jabril Cox shouldn't be out there. Hey, I'm to the point that let him start. I mean, what do we gain from David Mayo or Cody Barton playing for us? It's not necessarily increasing your chances of winning games if that's what you're trying to do for some crazy reason. And it's also not giving the next regime something to evaluate in a younger, high-ceiling guy that, man, this guy may be the answer for the future of this franchise or something like that. You're not getting any of that in either of those two guys, especially a David Mayo who's older. So I just don't see any disadvantage to playing Jabril Cox and Khalid Hudson literally as your starting linebackers. Now, granted, both of those guys are technically your will linebackers. Nobody in that group is technically a Mike, but I don't care. We're not trying to win games. We're trying to evaluate talent. Throw those guys out there to the Wolves and see what they can do. See if they can adapt. You never know. You don't know how good Jabril Cox will be in this defense until you see him in this defense. Please play him, man. There's no excuses for that. And again, I'm pretty optimistic that they will play him. And the fact that Ron Rivera even spoke about it in his press conference, lets you know that, hey, man, we're starting to really think about it. We're looking at the fact that Danny Johnson got cut so younger guys can play. They're starting to look around this roster like, yeah, man, let's go ahead and start giving guys opportunities. I wouldn't be surprised if we start doing that all over the place. Really, offensive line is the only place that I'm a little worried about doing something like that for, because then you're just basically asking Sam Howell to get killed. But what's the big difference from that or what he's been dealing with already? So it's almost like you might as well do it there as well. But that would be the one position group I'm like, may not want to do that. But I'm definitely to the point that even with Brian Robinson banged up or not, Brian Robinson is clearly your running back of the future. I think this next regime would love to keep him as one of their premier running backs, if not the premier running back in their future offense, whoever the offensive coordinator, head coach, GM, and all of that will end up being. So I want to see Chris Rodriguez and Antonio Gibson get more touches and more opportunities. Chris Rodriguez because he's the younger guy, the rookie, and Antonio Gibson because he's on the last year of his contract. Go out there and show in these last few games, get as many touches as you can on the ground, through the air, pass blocking wise as well. Let's get Antonio Gibson back there pass blocking so he can show that next regime that he should be here, because at the very least he could be a potential great pass blocker, which I'm not sure he is right now. But the more meaningful snaps he gets to do that without Brian Robinson eating away at the snaps only potentially helps his case for staying here and being a part of the next regime as well in the running back group. We might as well go ahead and do that for defensive linemen. I want KJ Henry out there basically like a starter. I'm done forcing it with James Smith-Williams and Case Sewell. They're cool, they're straight, but both of their contracts end at the end of the season. They're unrestricted free agents as soon as this 2023 free season regular season ends. So go ahead and throw KJ Henry out there because he is the future. Even if you don't see him as a future starter, he's a future player on this roster at the very least depth. Go ahead and throw, and he's been flashing. He's had his moments of greatness these past few weeks. Keep throwing him out there. Andre Jones, he was the off-season hero. Keep throwing him out there. I want to see a lot of these younger depth guys go out there and play as much as possible. Keep throwing Percy Butler out there to the Wolves and let him be in your starting free safety. Emmanuel Forbes, play him more than you play Kendall Fuller and Benjamin St. Juste. Definitely Kendall Fuller, because I highly doubt they're going to pay Kendall Fuller at the end of the season. Next regime may not see it worth keeping Kendall Fuller, who's almost 30 years old, long term, and he's probably going to be asking for significant money because he's still a pretty good corner, and a contender may be willing to pay him more money than we are. So I'm not sure if Kendall Fuller is going to be here next year. What's the point of giving Kendall Fuller so many precious snaps, so many invaluable snaps? You can't even put a number to it. You can't put a price on it. What's the point of constantly giving him those snaps where you can give that to Emmanuel Forbes, and no matter how bad or good he is, at the very least he's learning and he's out there getting work, meaningful snaps in regular season games against opponents that do want to win the game, and not just in practice against players that are more worried about your safety than actually going out there and balling out on you. I want to see Emmanuel Forbes out there as if he's our cornerstone corner, and let him sink or swim, man. I'm telling you, that's the way, that needs to be the mentality for this entire team for the remainder of the season. And Danny Johnson, though him getting cut makes me a little sad, I'm hoping the best for him, but that's a great sign that we are doing what we should have been doing for the past few weeks. Thank you, Rivera, for admitting defeat, and let's go evaluation mode rather than win mode, please. But also, the Commanders open a 21-day practice window for Sadiq Charles, so he's potentially going to come off of IR. That's quite likely, but if he does, we're going to have to cut somebody to make room for him. We'll see how that goes, though, but Sadiq Charles may end up starting at left guard for us at some point before the end of this season. Even I prefer to let Chris Paul keep playing as much as he can. I feel like we got half a season with Sadiq Charles, and let's go ahead and get a half a season with Chris Paul, and then we can compare the two at the end of the season. That's just, that's the only preference I have there. And then also, the Commanders officially placed Jamin Davis on IR and signed defensive end Joshua Pryor from the practice squad. That's another guy. Play him as much as possible. Case Sewell and J. Smith-Williams, we've already seen what you can do. We might as well go with the younger depth guys and see what they can do. You never know if you just have this secret gem on your roster that just goes out there and becomes a Hall of Famer. I highly doubt it, but Case Sewell and J. Smith-Williams aren't those guys. I prefer to play the question marks rather than the guys we already know what their ceiling is, and that's including a guy like a Joshua Pryor, but most notably KJ Henry and Andre Jones, to be completely honest. This will be the perfect time for Casey Toohill to be playing, but that guy wanted to be dumb and gamble and get suspended for an entire season. Just stupid, man. The next regime probably wouldn't want him on board either, because why would you start your next regime with a depth player that's doing shenanigans like that? He's as good as gone. But also, practice report wise, you had Curtis Hodges, who did not participate with a back injury. That sucks, because that's another guy. I like Logan Thomas, but it's time for John Bates and Curtis Hodges and Cole Turner, all of those guys, to get as many meaningful snaps as possible. Throw them out there, somehow throw them the ball, see what their hands are like, get them out there blocking more often. Another position group we need to be evaluating before we go into this draft and free agency and spend a lot of capital on that position group. Corner, safety, offensive line, tight end. We need to be having in-season tryouts right now, and it's looking like we're going that direction. I'm happy about it. Tight end is another one. Curtis Hodges, I'm sad that he's not participating in practice because he looked awful in the preseason. But hey, you never know if these last 4 games of the regular season, if he's healthy enough to play, he looks like the answer. And we're not as tempted to draft a Brock Bowers over an offensive tackle in the first round. You know what I'm saying? Brian Robinson also didn't participate. Again, I love Brian Robinson, but I would prefer to see Antonio Gibson and Chris Rodriguez get as many snaps as possible. So I'm not rushing in to bring him back. First of all, we might as well just go ahead and bubble wrap him because he's the answer. Like I've already said in previous videos and many videos ago, I brought you the stats as to why he's a top 5 running back in the NFL, at the very least statistically. Bubble wrap that, man. James Smith-Williams is also hurt, which is, again, a good thing because that allows KJ Henry, Andre Jones, Joshua Pryor, guys like that to get more snaps. I'm not wishing injuries on anybody, but hey, man, if they're not going to play, that's a good thing, and that's a big silver lining for our younger guys. Tyler Larson is also limited, so that sounds like Nick Gates may play at center, which worries me for Sam Howell. So I'm not happy about that because I'm not excited about Nick Gates coming back out there. It would be different if Ricky Strongberg was not on IR, gone for the rest of the season. Then that would be beneficial. Like Tyler Larson's hurt, Nick Gates sucks. Might as well go ahead and play Ricky Strongberg, but Ricky Strongberg's not there. So Tyler Larson not being fully healthy scares me. But Sadiq Charles and Emmanuel Forbes both participated fully. So it sounds like Emmanuel Forbes will finally be back after missing a few weeks. So I'm excited about that because, again, I'm not saying I'm excited because I'm expecting him to go out there and be Darrelle Revis, but I want to see what he can do. And again, for the multiple reasons I've already listed, getting teaching tape for the offseason, improving and developing, getting better, and all of that type of stuff. I want to see Emmanuel Forbes out there as much as possible. I'm expecting him to play almost every snap in that game. Do not sit him for anybody unless he's dead, tired, huffing and puffing. I'm sorry. You need to be out there working and getting better. And that goes for a lot of people, even outside of Emmanuel Forbes, but especially our first round pick, dog. But yeah, man, that's the end of this video. Please stiff arm that like button, stiff arm the subscription button, stiff arm the bell next to that subscription button so you get notification each and every time I release an informative and opinionated video just like this one. Make sure y'all stay tuned because, like I said, I have so much content to work on. I have at least like 20 video ideas that is just depending on how I'm gonna roll it out. And also for channel members, I'm working on a whole series, again, that's exclusive only to y'all, where I'm breaking down, I'm making the case for certain players why they should be a part of the next regime in the future. Burgundy and gold, whatever I name a logo mascot ends up being. I highly doubt we change it at all, and I definitely highly doubt we change it within this next year, but you never know. But yeah, the first one's going to be a look at a lot of Sam Howell's best throws and plays, and I'm going to make my case, and I'm going to break it down and show you like certain traits and things like, and I'm also look at it in the lens of, say we draft Olu Fashanu, he's the starting left tackle. He doesn't even have to worry about his left side. Imagine what he can do with that type of stuff. So we're going to be looking, and like imagine if that's Brock Bowers running that route instead of Logan Thomas and he makes that catch. We're going to take a look at a lot of stuff like that from the view of Sam Howell and how we can build around him. He could be a potential franchise quarterback for us, and we shouldn't have to draft one in the first round. All of that type of stuff. So stay tuned for all of that content. That's for channel members only. I really appreciate y'all. And make sure you leave a like on the way out, please. And if you want to support the channel by donating, please do that as well. But definitely at the very least, on the way out, leave a like and a comment because that means the world to me. It's free to do, and it means the world to my channel. So man, I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out.